We are just about set for tonight's game between the Sterling Lady Knights and the Haddonfield Lady Bulldogs. Both teams have completed their warm-ups out on the court, and we're getting set for some of the preliminaries here from Haddonfield. Mark, we'll get to more of the details of this game in just a moment, but first let's go downstairs, down to the floor, and meet public address announcer Frank Delano.
At this time, we would ask you to rise and honor America with the singing of our national anthem, which will be sung by Haddonfield senior Rebecca Sayer.
Let me walk in on her.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the we'd watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Outstanding job by the Haddonfield senior Rebecca Sayer with the national anthem. Becky, not only a good singer, Mark, but a decent athlete here at Haddonfield, especially on the soccer field.
Outstanding forward for Coach Charlie Keel's team. Jack, that was a great rendition. What a way to start things off here.
All right, we're set for tonight's starting lineups now down on the court. And for those starting lineups, let's go back to public address announcer Frank Delano.
Now let's meet your starting five. Let's meet the starting five for the Sterling Lady Knights. At guard, a 5'4" junior, number 30, Lauren Armbruster. Also at guard, a 5'8" junior, number 32, Christina Savage. At center, a 6-foot junior, number 34, Kenesha Wright. At forward, a 5'9" senior, number 44, Allison Conway. And also a forward, a 6'1" junior, number 52, Jessica Hopsky. Leading the 6-0 Sterling Knights is head coach Bill Aldrich. His assistants are Jackie Donovan, Bill Mitchell, John Daly, and John Fisher. Now let's meet your 4-0 Haddonfield Bulldogs. At guard, a 5'8" junior, number 10, Erin Donahue. A forward, a 6-foot junior, number 14, Kate Rusi. Also a guard, a 5'7" senior, number 15, Lori Quinovale. At center, a 6'1" senior, number 21, Stephanie Vitante. And at forward, a 5'8" senior, number 34, Alexis George. The 4-0 Dogs are coached by Trish McNutt. Assistants are Tara Deshays, Joe Castarini, Bill Bernard, and Jim McNutt.
Well, Mark, you've got to believe that when the schedules first come out, not only the folks that just enjoy basketball around South Jersey, but these two teams, circle these dates, and it could be one of 3 times. In fact, a lot of people think it'll be one of 3 times that these two teams will meet this year.
I don't think there's any question, Jack. They meet again on the 27th at Sterling, and then they're going to meet in the Group 2 playoffs. Of course, Haddonfield was in Group 1 the last 2 years. Back in Group 2, and there's no question those two will be meeting again in the postseason. Jack, there's so many keys to this game. Like, for instance, Stephanie Batani, who doesn't get a lot of press, but is so vital to the post defense at Haddonfield. She's got to stay out of foul trouble, too. They really need her presence. And the other thing is going to be kind of the matchup of Lauren Armbruster. As you look at the starting lineups there, Jack, Lauren Armbruster, how she does against Erin Donahue. Armbruster might be the best defensive player on this Sterling team.
Anisha Wright will jump it up against Batante, and we're underway with Sterling winning the opening tip. Sam Savage controlling the ball.
Interesting,
outside.
Haddonfield coming out, and looks like a box and one with Kate Rusi on Kopsky, and it looks like a 2-2 defense there. And I'll tell you what, as the turnovers there, I've never seen Kate Rusi have a bad game, Jack. She's, again, one of those underrated players.
That ball was tipped, they're saying. It didn't look like it from here, but they say that Sam Savage got a finger on that, so Haddonfield will retain possession. Donahue to inbound for the Bulldogs.
Sterling, a straight man-to-man team. When Bill Ulrich first started coaching, he did a lot of zone, but the last few years it's been a straight man-to-man team, and there's Armbruster on Donahue. That's a great matchup.
Donahue from outside, and it's good for 3. Came in averaging nearly 19 points a game, and has the first 3 and a 3-0 lead for Haddonfield. Kopsky dribbled off her left foot. Stolen away by Haddonfield. Alexis George leading the charge all the way to the hole.
Jack, one of the things Alexis has added to her arsenal is the left hand. You saw her going up with the opposite hand there. See the pressure. This is going to be such a key. Savage can't pick up her dribble too early because then they'll all converge on her.
Underneath Wright was open momentarily. Kopsky cleans up the rebound. First try, no good. Double team, turns around again and tries it. That's no good. Jessica maybe that time should have kicked it back out. She had 2 defenders on her. 5-0 lead for Haddonfield.
Look how Haddonfield spreads its offense out, Jack, and just lets people run off picks.
A short jumper by Clitteval, no good, but she'll go to the line as she's fouled. Trish McNutt Green talking things over with Erin Donahue. As Mark mentioned, outstanding coaching record, 190-35 in her career. Clitteval cans the first. 5 state titles, 5 South Jersey titles, 5 conference championships for Trish McNutt Green.
I think Trish McNutt Green and Bill Ulrich are 2 of the great coaches, not only in basketball, but in any sport you'll find in South Jersey.
There's the full court pressure from Haddonfield, and tipped away that time by Kate Rusi. The Bulldogs have jumped to a 7-0 lead to start the ball game. 6:11 to go here. We're just a couple of minutes into the contest. Again,
a very, very active 2-2 defense there. There you see Quinavale trying to cut off the passing lanes. What they have is they have Alexis George also watching Koski. She was fronting her, and Rusi behind.
Wild shot put up by Conway, no good. Wright's follow doesn't go. Again, she sticks with it, though, and first 2 points scored by Sterling. It's a 7-2 game. Kopsky reaching in from behind will be called for the personal foul.
And Jack, with how physical it is, Bill Ulrich not happy with that. It's tough when Kopsky gets a touch foul like that. Bill's saying, come on, we have to be more careful that way.
Long inbounds pass to Quinavale, quickly around to the other side to George, again down the lane. Wright did a good job of just holding position that time, and George lost the handle.
And Savage doing a nice job getting out of that corner so she couldn't be trapped. Savage at 5'9" can see over the defenses too, Jack. She's a very, very good ball handler. Doesn't always look to shoot. She's going to have to.
Had to there as she was wide open. A little strong on the three, and the long rebound goes out before Sterling can get it back.
You know, it's interesting, the 2 point guards in this game, Savage and Erin Donahue, they've for years played together on the same AAU team, along with Jessica Kopsky. So these players from both teams, and Kenesha Wright, they really know one another. George is just beating her player off the dribble.
Tough shot canned by Rusi against outstretched hand of Kopsky. Bulldogs back up by 7, matches their largest lead here in the first quarter. There's the double team trap, but dribbling away from it was Conway. Now Savage running. They tried to get it to right down low, tipped away that time by Batati. Donahue in transition.
Sterling needs a timeout, Jack.
I'm going to say, Mark, they may need a timeout, and Bill Ulrich will take it. Haddonfield fans to their feet. 4:31 to go here in the first, and the Bulldogs with a 9-point early lead at 11-2. Well, we talked about these two coaches, Mark, and what an outstanding job they've done. Here's Bill Ulrich's accomplishments. Not too shabby. 452 wins and only 73 losses. You see the 13 conference championships and the state titles, and then we've already talked about Trish McNutt-Green. When you combine all this, and we mentioned this in the open, it's just unbelievable. A winning percentage of over 85%, 18 colonial titles, 12 South Jersey titles, and 7 state championships. Amazing what these two coaches
and Bob,
have done.
Jack, Bill Ulrich also won 200 when he was a coach of the boys team. Of course, Bill got his first coaching when he was at Duke, and the freshman coach there was a young man named Chuck Daly. And when Daly would go on recruiting visits, Bill would actually take over the team.
All right, Sterling to inbound again against pressure.
Interesting, they used Kenesha Wright just to get the ball inbound to bring Savage up a little further up. It's a nice little adjustment by Sterling.
Savage down the lane, and it's stripped away nicely defensively by Batati. She's made a couple of nice defensive plays. George on the run, can't hit it. Kopsky's rebound. Here come the Silver Knights. First time they've been able to run in transition. Savage was ahead of the back, but again, how about the defense so far tonight by Stephanie Batati?
Well, we said it's very important that Batani stays in there. Once in a while, she's prone to foul trouble, but she means so much for that post defense. And there she swats it away without touching the player. That's a great job.
Kopsky for 3, a little strong. Wright has position, but can't get the ball. Batati with a great outlet to Donahue. George is ahead of everybody. Double-digit lead for Haddonfield. 13-2, the Bulldogs up. Conway, 3 won't go, 1 and done again, and here come the Bulldogs in transition. With the Val cross court, Donahue has it backside off the glass and good. .13-point lead for Haddonfield.
Jack, Kenesha Wright can't go all the way up court. She has to be an outlet for the ball. Too many players are going back and not giving them an option.
In the corner, jumper no good from Rusi, and this time Wright with the rebound. Boy, Sterling desperately needed a stop there and got it.
Haddonfield 6 for 8, mainly because most of the shots have been layups.
Some contact underneath between Alexis George and Kenesha Wright, and they're going to call George for the foul.
See, I think that's what you've got to do, is Trish McNutt Green exhorting her team on. I think that's what Sterling has to do, is try to be patient and kick it inside. I think that's the one area where the Silver Knights could have an advantage, whether Kopsky can post up or Kenesha Wright can.
And yet, Mark, they haven't done that yet. It's been a lot of this outside shooting, and that time they get the bucket. In fact, nothing but the bottom of the net for Allison Conway, who has all 4 points for Sterling. Problems on the inbound there, and the turnover will go in favor of the Silver Knights.
Well, I think Haddonfield's going to give Conway, Savage, people like that the outside shot till they prove they can really stick it. Armbruster as well.
Savage with a bounce pass for Wright that goes by her. Good defense that time on the inbounds pass by Haddonfield.
Jack, the other thing is Sterling's a man-to-man team, but you might have to think about how Haddonfield's beating the Silver Knights off the dribble. You might have to think about abandoning that going zone.
Great feed from Quintaval to Batani. That was a pinpoint pass that time.
See, they have to use Wright right there. Wright had been going up court too much, Jack, and not being that outlet pass that they could get from.
Armbruster guarded by George. She'll give way to Conway. They try to lob it down to Wright. Turns around, can't get the shot, but will draw the foul from Batani.
Jack, the other thing is when Lauren Armbruster gets the ball, Haddonfield is just sagging off her because they're letting her take that shot. They're daring her to shoot. There's Batani inside, as you mentioned, a tremendous feed by Lori Quintavalli. Does a lot of the little things.
Wright misses the first. She's hitting on 63% of her shots from the stripe this year. Comes up empty on that trip. George, another layup. Six first quarter points for Alexis George, and her team on cruise control right now. Haddonfield with a 19-4 lead, and they take a timeout with 2:03 to go here in the first quarter.
Jack, it's been mainly layups by Haddonfield and beating them one-on-one. There's the standings in the Colonial. As you see, Sterling, Haddonfield. Hey, how about the job Coach Hamburger's done at Haddon Heights? He's really resurrected that program. 3-0 in the Colonial, followed by West Deptford, Haddon Township, Paulsboro, Gateway, Collingswood, then Audubon and Woodbury. Of course, Sterling is the defending champion in the Colonial, beat Haddonfield twice last season. Jack, I saw Haddonfield earlier this year beat Gloucester Catholic, and the Bulldogs were impressive in that game, winning 58-42. But this game, they've gotten out to a much better start, and they are just beating Sterling down the floor. I don't know if Sterling can stay with them man-to-man.
You know, a lot of times, Mark, early in the season, you say, well, maybe a team hasn't been really tested yet, that type of thing. But that's not the case for Sterling. They played a tough schedule so far in their 6 wins, including some very tough Christmas tournament ball games. So this is a very impressive start from Haddonfield against the #1 team in South Jersey.
See, good job by Kenesha Wright there now, serving as an outlet.
Armbruster thought about it, but then quickly over was Quintaval on defense.
Little change on defense now. They have Erin Donahue on Jessica Kopsky. Kopsky with a big height advantage. Great catch that time.
She lost Donahue, but couldn't get the shot up. The follow by Conway, no good. Right on the left side. 3 blue shirts surrounding the boards that time. Good job on the glass by Sterling.
Well, Jack, that's what we said, that they have the advantage that way.
Haddonfield, for the first time tonight, really slows down the pace. They're up by 13, have led by as many as 15. That's another foul on Kopsky. That'll be her second. And
wow.
We've still got 1:10 to go here. Kopsky with 2 fouls and no points in the ball game.
And both fouls, Jack, have been real questionable touch fouls. Being officiated very closely.
Long inbounds, nearly went over Alexis George's head. She did bring it down. Donahue now quickly underneath. Look at that drop step move. It doesn't go. Wright fights for the rebound and pulls it down. Stepped on the line though, so Haddonfield will get it back.
You talk about that drop step by Russi. I think she's as fundamentally sound as you'll see in any player. Not very flashy, just gets the job done.
Another long inbound. This is going to go all the way in the back court. There's a quick shot put up that time, no good. And then a foul on Wright.
Well, they're saying that Wright came over the top. It looked like she had decent position that time.
Fourth team foul on Sterling. First foul on Kenesha Wright.
Erin Donahue is so fast, she's just running circles out there.
A nice play by George. She was going to give it to Donahue, but then noticed she wasn't being guarded by anyone. And she has 8 points here in the first quarter. Kopsky now running the floor. Sterling had a 2-on-1 momentarily. Kopsky pulls up. The 14-footer is good. Her first field goal of the ball game with 24 seconds left to go here in the first.
Look how quick Donahue is.
Wow. Great individual move by Donahue, who's had a big first quarter. She now has 9. George with defensive against Conway, had her in trouble, and Conway ended up stepping on the sideline as the buzzer sounds to end the first quarter. What a start for Haddonfield. After one, the Bulldogs 23, the Silver Knights 8. Along with Mark Narducci, I'm Jack Hibbert. Welcome back. Second quarter action from Haddonfield, where the hometown Bulldogs have had their way so far with the top-ranked team in South Jersey, leading it 23-8 as we get started here in the second quarter. George outside the arc. They quickly work it inside, but Tani free for the layup.
Jack, that's another great pass, entry pass that time by Lori Quinnavalli. She's made a couple of them tonight.
And Sterling really has looked shaky, Mark, in just about every phase from the beginning of the ball game. And we mentioned one of the keys for Sterling would be handling the pressure. They haven't done a great job of it. There's
look at that entry pass to the outside, and Batani finishing it up. Jack, that's 9 turnovers for Sterling.
Execution on their part has been weak, and when you look at it conversely, Mark, I think the execution of Haddonfield has been near perfect tonight.
Well, they're doing a great job of getting people open off picks. Tracy Bolger, by the way, into the game, a sophomore who they're really high on here at Haddonfield. It's a tough assignment for Armbruster to have to try to handle the quickness and of Donahue one-on-one.
Try to get it into George this time, right, with good defense. Batani.
See, she saw nothing was there, and they brought it out. That's a heady play.
Conway tipped it away as Bolger tried to get it to George. So the turnover against Haddonfield.
Jack, Armbruster's open in that three-point line, and she could have that shot all day, and Haddonfield's going to give it.
And they've given the ball to her in that position a number of times. She hasn't taken the shot. She does there. It's an air ball. Wright cleaned it up and got fouled before the shot. For Batani, that'll be her second. The team's fourth. There's a look at the hip check by Batani before the shot.
That's a key foul because that's a second on her, and I'm wondering if they're going to keep her in right now. They certainly don't want her to get the 3 fouls. Still 6:32 left here in the first half. We said how important she is to stay on the court.
Armbruster off the pick, got the 3.
Jack, she's got to take that shot. They're giving it to her all day.
Well, Mark, that's a confidence builder. She just shot an air ball moments ago, but canned that jumper easily.
The other thing is Alexis George has Kopsky on her, and she's making her move a lot.
Tough shot for George, won't fall. Savage with a rebound for Sterling. Inside to Wright. Timeout Haddonfield. Tide starting to turn a little bit, and Coach Trish McNutt-Green wants to make sure it doesn't turn any further than this. 25-13 with 5:51 to go here in the half. Hey, get into the center of action with NHL Center Ice, available on Garden State Digital Cable Service. Catch up to 30 NHL regular season games a week for just $99. Call Garden State Cable at 856-354-1660 to order. That's 856-354-1660.
Jack, we talk about entry passes. You make them to the outside so only the offensive player can get it. Savage did it that time, and Wright finishing it up. There's no question that with Kim Morrow, who's now at Long Island University, gone from Sterling, that Kenesha Wright has really stepped in, and she is that second scorer for Sterling. We mentioned the key will be if a third one can develop.
Donahue in the corner, kicks it back outside for the foul.
Jack, it looks like Sterling's gone into a zone, but a box and one on Donahue. Interesting.
Rusi's shot won't work because she walked with a basketball, says the official. Trish McNutt-Green does not like that call. Our officials tonight, Jane Dugan and Alexis Corset.
I thought that was a good defensive move by Sterling, especially with Kopsky with the 2 fouls. Go into the zone.
Kopsky with a little elbow. That freed her up for the shot. Just her second field goal. George sealed off by Wright, then puts it up, and it's blocked by Wright. This time Sterling breaks the pressure, has the numbers on the other end. Kopsky's jumper good, and she's heating up. (25-17). Haddonfield led by as many as 15. Outside jumper won't go. Ball tipped around. Rusi the rebound. Tie up, and on the alternating possession, it'll go to Sterling.
That's a great job by Rusi. What she did was she had Wright on her that time, and she pulled her out. You want to get Wright out of the basket because she's such a tenacious rebounder, but I think Sterling got back into this, Jack, by going to that zone. Good job by Savage turning around there. Now people have to help her. They can't run away from the ball. See, Sterling has to get people going to the ball. It's going to be tougher to bring the ball up.
Conway gets it to Kopsky.
Rusi back on Kopsky. Trish McNutt-Green has switched assignments, Rusi has had Donahue. Oh, they got that lob to Kopsky.
Layup doesn't go. There was some contact. Wright's rebound no good. Ball tipped around. Patani fights with Kopsky, and a reach-in foul, and that will be her third. So we talked about early in this ball game the ability of Patani to stay in the game and not in foul trouble. This is her third. I'll probably send her to the bench.
She grabbed her arm there. You could see it right on the replay. Well before the ball was tied up. It's a good call.
So into the ball game for Haddonfield now, Emily Heisler.
This is really key because if I'm Sterling, I just try to keep kicking it inside now, especially with Patani out.
Right shot blocked. Conway the rebound, fouled from behind by Kate Rusi.
Well, Jack, Sterling's going to have this kind of dominance on the boards, and that's why I look for Haddonfield to even put up the pressure even more to make it tougher to get in there. Yep, Rusi got her.
Couple of free throws upcoming from Conway. He's hitting. Well, I didn't want to say it because up until that point she had been a perfect 7 for 7 from the line this year. Missed them both. How about that? Three and a half to go till halftime. An 8-point lead, but it was once a 15-point cushion for Haddonfield. With the Valley's outside shot doesn't go, and Kopsky with an easy board. Savage kicks it to the weak side. Armbruster was open momentarily. Now Conway inside the arc. The shot's too strong, and George has the rebound. Donahue running the floor against Armbruster, who goes down. The contact, no call. Donahue dribbled it out of play after the contact.
That's a nice job by Armbruster. Did not let Donahue, with all her speed, go baseline and turn it in. Look at her staying with her.
Back to live action. Kopsky outside the arc.
See, notice she's immediately doubled when she gets the ball. It doesn't matter.
Worked off the screen by Wright that time. And Sterling now mark on an 11-2 run here in the second quarter.
She shoots off the screen about as well as anyone you'll see.
Shot is too strong by George, but the ball ends up in her hands. Now Heisler, Heisler's shot no good, and Savage with a rebound.
See, they have two people going down with her and trailing her. It doesn't matter.
4 field goals, 8 points for Jessica Kopsky. And Haddonfield knows now it's a new ball game. 2:15 to go till halftime. It was a 15-point lead, but thanks to a 13-2 run, it's now 25-21.
Jack, notice how she reads the double team. She sees it right away and she says, all right, I'm not going to let you get set. And then off the dribble. You know, she went out to some of the best camps and some of the best players were this summer. I mean, she's certainly got a national profile, well beyond South Jersey. Just keep our momentum. Next is down. Touch the pitch card.
Well, Bill Ulrich has done a nice job in helping his team get back in this, but makes it a little easier when you've got a player on the floor like Jessica Kopsky. And of course, we talked about her, averaged 27 points a ball game last year, averaging nearly 28 through the first 6 contests this year. Started slow, Mark, in this one, having gone almost the entire first quarter without scoring, but now has 10 points of the contest.
Jack, I think when Sterling went into this box-and-one defense on Donahue and went out of the man-to-man, that's when it all started for the Silver Knights.
Rusey.
Just not quick enough to stay with Haddonfield man.
Turnaround shot on Wright doesn't work. And so Sterling still on the move here, trying to get this a little closer. That ball was tipped away. I thought Rusey touched it, but they say Wright was the last one.
Really no reason to make a forced pass like that, especially with Batani out of the game. You can take your time and still kick it down low. Yeah, Donahue will get used to these box-and-one defenses. I see most teams will be that way. And again, another touch foul, that time on Savage.
That's her second. Haddonfield to inbound. Both teams, neither team in the penalty right now. Just 5 team fouls on Sterling and 5 on Haddonfield.
It's a very small Haddonfield team that we have in there with Batani out.
Yeah, that was my thought a moment ago. They've been looking to work it down low, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that with the players they have on the floor. And right now, the outside shot not falling.
Now they've switched Alexis George, who I think's Haddonfield's best defender. She's staying on Kopsky now. And what George will do is she'll really make you work.
Kopsky met by Rusey, didn't make any difference.
Jack, she beat 3 people that time. 2 more converged on her, and it didn't matter.
Donahue with a kick out. Heisler's shot no good. Rebound by Quintaval in through traffic off the glass. It just won't go. Second effort, though, is good. Boy, she really stuck with that. Right against Rusey. Turnaround, good, and foul shots coming.
Jack, now do you see why we say why it's so important to have Batani in there? Actually, I think she got hit from behind. by Quinavali that time on the foul.
And that was properly called. Quinavali with the personal foul, her first. And can you believe this? Wright has a chance to make this a one-point game. Doesn't go. This could be for the tie. Kopsky's shot is partially blocked, I think.
Time to settle for the last shot.
Good move by Rusi against Wright.
I think Sterling was thinking that, so Rusi said, I'm going to take it. I have a lane to drive.
Only the third field goal for Haddonfield here in the second quarter. Down to a second, and the buzzer will sound. What a first half of basketball. I thought we'd have the... Welcome back to Haddonfield High School. I'm Jack Hibbert along with Mark Narducci. You see a 4-point game between these top two teams in South Jersey. It was a 15-point lead for Haddonfield after the first quarter, but Sterling has charged back and made a game of this, and they've charged back behind who else, Mark, but Jessica Kopsky. She really heated up in that second quarter.
It's really interesting, Jack, because Jessica, they were throwing everything at her. They put 3 different players on her in the one-on-one. This was that play where she just beat the double team. She recognized it, and off the dribble, she's as tough as anybody. As we said in South Jersey, she's shooting 6 for 11 for this game, and that's saying something because, as you mentioned, she got off to that rough start, missing her first 3 shots.
And didn't score until 20-some seconds left in the first quarter. She's got 12 to lead all scorers at halftime. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics between these two teams. Both teams shooting around 40%. It's interesting, as Sterling hit a couple of free throws, Mark, we'd have a different ball game here, but they're 0 for 5 from the stripe.
Yeah, that's right, Jack. The one thing is, keep in mind, is that Jessica Kopsky is one of the best foul shooters around, so late in the game they're going to put the ball in her hands to get her if Haddonfield's in foul trouble. The other thing is, Erin Donahue and Alexis George, and you mentioned this, Donahue scored 9 the first quarter, George 8, and both were shut out in that second quarter.
A lot of that had to do with the defense of Sterling, and Bill Ulrich made a change there, and that obviously had a significant part in the first half.
Well, Haddonfield, I thought, just too quick for Sterling to play them in a man-to-man defense, and when he went to that box of one, you still have to watch Donahue, but I think it really changed everything. It made Haddonfield into more of a perimeter team, and the Bulldogs in the second quarter just weren't able to hit, just 3 for 13 in the second quarter.
You know, Mark, we're seeing some great talent out on the court tonight. The top two teams here in South Jersey, as we mentioned a number of times, but there's so much great talent and competition to be excited about here in girls high school basketball, and right here in our Garden State cable TV viewing area. Our partners at Garden State at Home rank the Super 7 this week like this.
Oh, there it is. Sterling and Haddonfield. Gloucester Catholic, which lost to Haddonfield in this Haddonfield tournament, followed by Eustis, which has a big game with Camden Catholic tomorrow. Lenape, maybe the most improved team in all of South Jersey. Shawnee, and then Haddon Township.
This Super 7 ranking, by the way, just one of the many local features that Garden State at Home brings to you each week by way of the internet. It's a great way to stay plugged into your community with information about local arts, business, high school sports, and much, much more. If you'd like more information about subscribing to this great service, Garden State at Home, you can visit the web address. You see it there on your screen, or call 856-616-2550. That's 856-616-2550. Well, the Dogs got out in a hurry here in this one, leading by 15 after 1, but we didn't think it'd be a blowout, really, did we, partner? I mean, these two teams have, what we said in the opening, have built one of the great rivalries in South Jersey, and this is the way it should be. A 4-point game at halftime as we get set to start the final 2 quarters.
Now, the key is to Sterling adjust it. Give a Sterling effort. You got to love that. Sterling adjusted by going to the box and one. Now let's see what Haddonfield does, because Haddonfield, it was almost like layup drills in that first quarter. Very little came easily for Haddonfield in the second quarter.
Trish McNutt-Green getting her team ready for the second half. And they inbound to start things here, up by 4. They have led all the way.
Again, they're going with that zone, but the box and one. Arm Brewster on Donahue. I think Donahue's got to look to create more, even though she's going against the zone.
Lucy's turnaround no good. And And here come the Lady Knights.
Again, a boxing one with Rusi now on Kopsky. They put 3 different players in the first half on her, trying to wear her down. Didn't work.
Inside to Wright, the turnaround doesn't go, rebounded by Batani.
Can't let Wright make that catch that close to the basket, even though she missed that shot.
George against Savage. Skip pass over to Batani down the lane, and Kopsky blocked it. Well, Batani got the quick step on Kopsky, but Kopsky at 6'1" has the ability to reach from behind here and get the ball.
Yeah, and then they got Alexis George on the foul. Good block that time, but George coming from the back right there on the foul.
Thinking about fouls, the only player really in any kind of trouble is Haddonfield's Batani. She has 3. Off the hands of Wright to Kopsky. Shot goes up, Rusi blocked. Wright got the rebound, second effort, blocked again by Ruski, but they're going to say there was a foul. I don't know, Mark, that looked like a lot of basketball there. If it's a block, that's one thing. They're going to say pushing, so that would have to be perhaps with a body.
Well,
let's take another look.
If we can see it here.
Well, maybe a little.
I'll tell you one thing, the officials have been consistent, Jack. They've been calling everything very close.
Right after missing her first 3 free throws of the night, hits that one. She now has 7 in the ball game. And what do we got? Officials trying to work things out. Bill Ulrich is the one that precipitated that conversation. Something not right about the set at the free throw line. Second one is missed by Wright. Quinnival down the lane to Batani, through traffic, missed the layup. Ball tipped around and into the hands of Kopsky.
Even though she missed it, I think that's a good job to try to kick it inside, give a little bit of a different look. Haddonfield, we mentioned, second quarter was mainly from the perimeter. Now we're seeing some trapping by Haddonfield, trying to utilize its speed and create some turnovers. Sterling only had 2 turnovers in that second quarter after 8 in the first.
Armbruster from outside the arc, doesn't get it. Rebounded by George with good position on Conway that time.
Yeah, Alexis George at 5'8". Does such a great job against players bigger than she is.
First points for Aaron Donahue since the first quarter, and that was a good-looking shot. Wright nearly traveled with it, but got it back to Armbruster in time.
Well, she uses the behind-the-back move to get an advantage, and that's when I always say that's the best time to use it. Sometimes people do it just to showboat it. By putting it behind her back, she got that extra step that she needed for that shot.
Kopsky guarded by Rusi. Works off the screen, but then is picked up nicely defensively. A little give and go on the switch, but they can't get it moving, and Conway walked with it.
That's a great job by Lori Quinnival, holding her ground against a bigger Conway that time. Look at 15. First of all, she tips it.
There was a foul there, but there were steps before the foul, so that's what the call was.
Now they have Batani on the high post, again setting some picks, trying to give it a little bit of a different look. Then she goes down low. Great catch by Rusi that time.
She went to the floor and gave it up to Donahue, who now works against Armbruster, kicking it back to Rusi. Savage tipped it, and that caused Rusi to tip it in out of play.
Jack, you know, we haven't seen that frenetic full-court pressure of Haddonfield. Now we're going to see something. I think the Bulldogs have to do this to just try to create some turnovers and really up the tempo of the game. A slower tempo helps out Sterling.
I got to tell you, Mark, Sterling did not necessarily handle that pressure great in the first quarter. Of course, nothing went well for Sterling in the first quarter. Kopsky gets the loose ball and is fouled as she goes up on the replay. Donahue trying to talk the official into exactly who the foul was against. It's going to go against Quinnival.
That was a nice job by Wright, who just tipped the ball over there. Couldn't get it, but saw her teammate and tipped it to Kopsky. You mentioned Kopsky's an 83% free throw shooter. Actually, last year she shot 88% from the foul line. And Jack, in the holiday tournament, she was 28 for 31 against Lansdale Catholic and Franklin Learning Center.
The pair good there, and the lead down to 3. This is as close as Sterling has been all night long. Donahue, little cross dribble, and a wild shot won't fall. George to follow, a little short on that. Ball tipped around, Donahue gets it back. Double team now in the corner. She's in no man's land. Tried to dribble it off Savage and ended up passing it to Conway, the turnover. Wright posted up on Batani, but the pass a little bit too far for her.
Yeah, that's the right idea at least. Throw it over the shoulder of the player. That pass was just too far. See, Wright actually had some pretty good position there, but it just went too far. Good idea, just the execution wasn't there.
Lucy working against Conway. Good crossover dribble there and a nice layup.
Jack, you watch her play, and we talk about how fundamentally sound she was. First of all, getting the position and then using that little drop step.
Donahue tried to save it off of Wright, but was unable to do so, so Sterling will inbound. 3:58 to go here in the third. 5-point lead now for Haddonfield.
Donahue tried to throw it off Wright, and as you mentioned, Savage able to get it.
Kopsky went the other way from the pick. Shot was blocked, saved by Rusi, and a foul as Donahue tried to break out. A blocking foul on Sam Savage. And that'll be her third.
I'll tell you what, Kate Rusi is doing an outstanding job on defense. There's Savage reaching in that time. Kate Rusi really making Kopsky work hard here in the third quarter. As we mentioned, they put Donahue on her, they put George on her, Rusi started on her.
Lob into Batani, she kicks it back out to Quinta Valley. Good ball movement by the Bulldogs. Going down the lane is Rusi, no good. Rebounded by George, tough follow is good. Alexis George, her first point since the first quarter. She now has 10.
Haddonfield beating Sterling at its own game, Jack, inside. Oh, great look by Savage.
Great block by Batani. Ahead is George. Against Kopsky, can't get the left-handed shot to go. Kopsky fights with Donahue, who got the rebound. Now Rusi has it. Rusi in traffic, lots of contact, no call, and Wright ends up with the ball.
You know, Sterling might need a 20 right here. The game's starting to slip a little bit away from the Silver Knights. Oh, there we see Bill.
Boy, I tell you, great basketball minds here. Bill Ulrich and Mark Narducci calling for a timeout at the same time. 2:53 to go here in the third quarter. You're right, though, Mark. Sterling within 3. Now the lead back up to 7. And Bill Ulrich wants to make sure things don't get any further away with just a couple of minutes left here in the third quarter.
Stop standing on the other side. Almost cross the lane. We're going to foul the big hit. Hey, we got to get down there and rebound, gang.
Jack, I think I heard a story that Haddonfield boys beat Sterling today. And, you know, a week from Tuesday, a week from Tuesday, we're going to see Haddon Heights and Sterling, and what a wild boys race that is going to be in the Colonial Conference.
Savage open outside the three-point line. Donahue steps up on her. Now here's Armbruster's three-pointer. That doesn't go. Tipped around. George has it. 3-on-1 for Haddonfield. Right back defensively. Quinta Val, the pull-up, no good.
Now they have George on Kopsky. They keep switching to get fresh people.
And
wow.
That's the fourth foul on Batani. And that was close, Mark, but you know, when you have 3 fouls, it's just you can't take a chance like that.
Well, we saw when she was on the benches when Sterling made the run, and I don't think there was any coincidence of that.
Rusi back in as Patati goes to the bench. Kopsky against Bolger.
You know what the problem with defending Kopsky is? You can't defend her to her left because she'll go to the right, and you can't go to the right because she'll go to the left. She's just so versatile, and she does not need much room in order to get that jump shot off, and she gets it off very quickly.
And I think the scariest thing about this picture right here for folks in South Jersey is, you mentioned the Open, she's just a junior. Of course, she's been playing since she entered the high school, but I mean, she has dominated at this level. 4 points in the third for Kopsky, all from the free throw line. 16 in the game. Rusi open to the foul line. Well, that looked like that thing went around and out. And then Donahue with a reach in. Just Donahue's first foul.
Donahue showed how much spring she has. She really got up there that time. And this is what we expected, some full court pressure by Haddonfield. Good job by Sterling, not dribbling the ball on it.
Textbook break of the press that time, finished off by Kenesha Wright.
Well, that timeout Bill Ulrich called, I thought really did a good job. It settled this team down.
Mark, that was the first field goal by Sterling in the third quarter. The rest of their scoring has come from the line. Donahue, a wild shot against Armbruster. In fact, it's an air ball. The crowd with a little acknowledgement of that. Savage loses the defender, right open underneath. And all of a sudden, a one-point ball game and a timeout by Haddonfield with 1:21 to go here in the third.
Sterling's doing a fine job of freeing players up off picks. White got open, and Savage, again, maybe doesn't get the recognition she deserves only because she doesn't score much, Jack, but as far as running an offense and doing something like that, you know, she's as good as anybody. She has a real good head for the game. Of course, her father, Bob Savage, a longtime coach.
I was going to say, they've got it. They wanted to show that we've got the best seats in the house, Mark. We're up at the penthouse tonight, the penthouse suite here at Haddonfield. I'll tell you, we're lucky to have a seat here in this building this evening.
You're not kidding.
And not just because it's a great game, because I don't think they could fit too many more people in here.
Jack, I just think it's just great for girls sports, girls basketball, to see a crowd like this and the enthusiasm like this.
Oh, no doubt. Good Valley was open, can't get it against Wright, and Savage with a rebound. Down to a minute to go here in the third. Sterling threatens to take their first lead of the contest.
George on Kopsky, she's going to try to post her.
Conway gives the team a lead. The Lady Knights have fought all the way back. 36-35.
Donahue trying to force a little too much there. She's got such great athletic ability.
Donahue, reverse layup, and that was good defense by the Lady Knights. Aaron trying to make something out of nothing there. Conway open ahead of the pack.
Great feed from Savage.
Donahue, last second shot would not have counted had it gone. What a comeback by Sterling. They have erased a huge deficit in the first quarter. They lead it by 3 after 3. Along with Mark Narducci, I'm Jack Hibbard. Welcome back to Haddonfield High School, where the Sterling Silver Knights have their first lead of the night. Build on their first lead and lead it by 3, their biggest lead of the night. They were down at one point by 15 in this one. Savage for 3 to start the 4th. Well, Mark, how many times have we said it takes 4 quarters to win a basketball game? Haddonfield scores 23 points in the first, but have only scored 6 points in the next 2 quarters. Well, 12 points combined, but 6 in each of the next 2 quarters.
By the way, Donahue is out of this game right now. I don't know if it's because of the shot selection or just to give her a break.
And her substitute in the game, Aaron O'Donnell, not Aaron Donahue, but Aaron O'Donnell, traveled with the basketball there.
Haddonfield back in a straight man. George now on Kopsky. Rusi goes over to Kenesha Wright.
Savage open. What happened there? A foul away from the basketball. And the foul is on Rusi. That is her 3rd. So Rusi with 3 on the floor. Batani on the bench with 3. I'm sorry, Batani with 4.
Jack, if you're Trish McNutt-Green, you have to say, how long do I save Batani? There she is talking to Donahue there.
Yeah, and how long do I save Donahue?
And I think both of them not very long, because this game could get away from you if you leave these people out too long.
And here is Aaron Donahue back into the ball game. 7-point lead for Sterling. Who would have thought this? And now here comes Batani.
I think it's a good move bringing her in.
Batani back into the game. And Bolger will sit on the bench.
You could save a person too long and then the game can be out of hand.
7 minutes remaining in this one. 8-point lead for Sterling.
I'll tell you, Haddonfield has not solved this box and 1, this zone and the man-to-man on Donahue.
Rusi triple team, the kick back to Batani. Widow Valley's wide open. She's got to take that shot.
See, Rusi could take her player off the dribble. She has the ability to do that. Batani coming on the high post to try to set some picks, then going down low.
A pushing foul down low. Goes against Kenesha Wright. That's her 2nd. George in the corner, gives to Donahue. Kick out. Widow Valley forces it down low. Rusi kicks it back out to George. Double teamed over Wright. Shot doesn't fall. Wright scrambling for the rebound. George again, and that goes. Boy, Haddonfield really needed a bucket and got one there.
George plays as hard as any player in South Jersey, Jack. She has so much fire to her. Rusi back on Kopsky. They're really switching things up.
Kopsky.
And Jack, Batani could not go up and really challenge that shot with the 4 fouls. Couldn't really offer much resistance.
Widow Valley. And it's 45-39. 5.5 to go in the ball game. Kopsky trying to take things over here in the 4th. Can't get the shot, but there'll be a blocking foul, and that'll be the 4th on Rusi.
I think that was a good call. Rusi didn't have position that time.
Well, if I'm Sterling, Mark, I just keep giving it to this young lady and let her work it down low. The 2 big players now for Haddonfield in serious trouble. Batani and Rusi with 4 apiece.
Jack, not only that, Haddonfield already over the limit with 8 fouls.
Kopsky 6 for 6 from the line now. Batani against Conway, now against Wright, short on the shot. Loose ball, Sterling has the rebound. Savage through traffic, kicks it out. Now they whip it right back outside to Conway for 3. No good. Wright got a hand on the rebound but couldn't pull it down. Here comes Donahue. Long court pass and good ball movement as George is open on the break. Lead back down to 6. Kopsky open for 3. Got it. Boy, she can beat you in and out. Three by Donahue, no good. Ball tipped around. Savage with a rebound. 9-point lead for Sterling, the biggest of the ball game. Kopsky again taking it over in the 4th quarter, but an offensive foul called here.
But Jack, you know what's a key? Remember, she picked up the 2 quick ones in the 1st quarter, had not picked up one since then.
That's her 3rd. Only the team's 4th, so they still have fouls to give to Sterling. Donahue against Armbruster. They work it inside of Batani. Turnaround doesn't go. Loose ball. Batani's got it back. Donahue down the baseline. Over Wright, no good. Rebound Kopsky. Savage to Kopsky down the lane. Rusi had contact, no call. That would have been her 5th. Here come the Bulldogs in transition. George the layup.
Now if you're Haddonfield, you have to put the press on, but Sterling doing a good job getting by it.
Lead down to 7 with 3 minutes left. Near steal that time by Quinnivalle. Now Savage open, Wright. Dribbles in, had it tipped away, got it back. Turnaround, no good. Rebound by Quinnivalle. She'll dribble it ahead, nearly stolen by Conway. Down the lane, she's open. Came up short on the layup. Big rebound by Batani. And a foul on the reach-in. Boy, Quinnivalle missed a wide open layup. I think she was surprised, Mark, that the lane was wide open.
Yeah, but that was also the 4th foul on Sam Savage that time. And she has been very, very valuable for this Sterling team. As you mentioned, Jack, she probably didn't think she was that open. And then there's Savage coming down Batani on the rebound.
Timeout on the floor. 2:52 to go in this contest. Sterling up 50-43. By the way, this will be an inbounds pass for Haddonfield because that's just the 5th team foul here in the 2nd half on Sterling.
Jack, it's hard to believe that her shoulder was hurting her, but it really was. She got an MRI on it earlier this season. They were wondering, you know, what kind of damage there would be. They said it was tendonitis, but doesn't look too bad tonight, does it?
Well, she has, as she usually has done, has had an outstanding night. 23 points tonight so far for Kopsky, and you can see almost the game plan is get it in her hands somehow on the offensive end of the court in these closing moments of the ball game.
She's shooting 8 for 17 from the field and has made some very difficult shots because she's been doubled. But again, because of the way she can quickly release the ball, she can negate that.
So Haddonfield to inbound, trying to cut into a 7-point deficit. Hard to believe that at one point the Bulldogs led this thing by 15 points. It was 23-8 after the 1st quarter. Wright tips the inbounds away. Boy, that kills a coach. Come out of a timeout and then have an unforced turnover on the inbounds play.
Now it's time that you let Kopsky have the ball as much as possible because Haddonfield's going to have to start fouling. You put her in a one-on-one situation. That's what you like to be if you're Sterling.
Kowski, double team now. With her height, though, Mark, you know, you double team her on a sideline, it really doesn't make any difference. There's the foul by Quintavalle. That's Laurie's third. And it'll put Armbruster on the line. Lauren Armbruster has 3 points. It was a tray back in the second quarter. First trip to the stripe tonight.
Keep in mind, though, she's been guarding Donahue a lot of the night and has done a very, very nice job.
Yeah, Donahue, by the way, 9 points in the first quarter, just 2 since. A lot of that has to do with Lauren Armbruster. Short on the second, but the rebound by Conway. That's a killer for Haddonfield. I don't know whether that was a pass or a shot. Either case, it wasn't pretty. Donahue's soft jumper won't fall, and a foul from behind, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was over the top.
Quintavalle, and that's her fourth. So now 3 players on the floor for Haddonfield with 4 fouls, and that's got Coach McNutt Green concerned.
Donahue, that's a pretty good look for Donahue. Actually, we didn't see that because you saw George, but it was, as you mentioned, over the top.
Yeah, but you know what happened there, Mark? She kind of got in herself in position where she wasn't in good position to use the glass, and so sometimes when you're on full run like that, it's tough to pull up and hit that soft jumper.
Jack, the one-on-one is not in effect now because it's a 10th foul, but with Kopsky, it probably doesn't matter.
She is 7 of 7. Make it 8 of 8 from the line tonight. Lead back up to 10. In fact, it's the largest lead of the night for Sterling.
And all 8 free throws came in the second half.
George quickly down the lane. Came up short on the shot. Quintavalle's turnaround block. Saved by George. She tried to put it up. That was blocked. Or either that or she just hit the back or underside of the backboard, and then a foul in the backcourt. Been some comeback by this Sterling team, and they've showed you tonight why they're ranked #1 in South Jersey.
Wow, this is only the first of 3 meetings. Fans are in for a treat.
I think Haddonfield's going to want a timeout here, and they get it. 1:56 to go, a 10-point lead for Sterling. We talk so much about the coaches, Mark, in this contest and their various success, but you know, basketball is a constant game of adjustment, and I thought Haddonfield really had Sterling on the ropes tonight, and Bill Ulrich made a few adjustments, particularly the box and one on Donahue. They got out of the man-to-man, and it really turned this thing around.
And the other thing is, they have not been a zone team in a long time. Topsy just goes up so strong to the basket.
Yeah, so in a sense, it's kind of a gutsy thing. It's not like they never practice it, of course, but that's not where Sterling is comfortable. They're comfortable in the man-to-man, so he took them out of their comfort zone, and they responded, and frankly, Haddonfield didn't tonight.
But Haddonfield was just beating them continually off the dribble in that man, so he had to do something. Well, you know, Bill Ulrich was named the coach of the century in the Courier Post in a great supplement that they had. He wasn't named that for nothing, you know. He certainly won a lot of games because of his ability.
1 of 2 for Savage on that trip, and now an 11-point lead for Sterling. Just 1:50 left. Ulrich watching his team on defense now. Donahue free. Jumper short. She's had a tough shooting fourth quarter. And Aaron a little frustrated. She had 9 points in the first quarter. In fact, we talk about that defensive job that that Sterling did in changing up to the box and one. Donahue had 9 points in that first quarter. They went on a box and one. She didn't score again until the third quarter, and that's been it. 1 field goal since the 9 in the first quarter.
And missed her last 9 shots, and a lot of it was with Armbruster right in her face. We said that, you know, people that you don't hear a lot about are going to play key roles in this game. I don't think there's any question the role Armbruster has had.
Wright missed her first 3 of the line tonight, but she's 3 of 4 since that time. And, you know, Kopsky gets all the accolades, Mark, but, you know, here's Kenesha Wright again, just quietly chipping in another 15, and she's a menace down low and has added enough offensively tonight to really hurt Haddonfield. George for 3, that's off the mark. Batani with a rebound. That follows no good, and Haddonfield right now can't buy points. Wright with a tie-up. Possession will stay with Haddonfield.
And Jack, when Batani first got in foul trouble in the first half was when Haddonfield's demise started.
Swinging around the arc, looking for threes now. Donahue's shot doesn't go, and Savage the rebound. All of a sudden, this gym, which was just hopping with excitement in the first quarter when Haddonfield looked like they would cruise to an easy win tonight, has gotten awfully quiet. The noise you hear now coming from the Sterling fans. Donahue's 4th, so 4 of the 5 players on the floor now for Haddonfield with 4 fouls. Kopsky finally misses.
Jack, Sterling has only 3 turnovers in the second half. Remember they had 8 in that first quarter? And now playing ragged, just 3 in the whole second half. And really were able to control tempo. As we said, a half-court game more favors the Silver Knights.
Quinta Valley with the reach in. And that'll do it for her for the night. Kopsky will go back to the line. Chance from the Sterling fans, it's all over, and it appears to be 43 seconds left in this one. 57-43. Took a while for these folks to smile tonight, but they're on their feet now.
And Jack, they meet in less than 3 weeks on the 27th at Sterling. And we talked about it before with Haddonfield back in Group 2. You know they're going to meet in the postseason. Bridgeton, one of the teams that people were speaking highly of, just was upset by Lower Cape May the other day, but Bridgeton might be a team also to watch in Group 2. But it'll be a monumental surprise if anyone other than these two meet in the final.
George can't hit the shot, stays with it, can't hit the shot, and gets fouled and will go to the line.
You know what's interesting about this Haddonfield team? A lot of them play other sports. George, we know, she's the all-state soccer goalie. Batani was a sweeper in soccer. Quinavali, who's going to University of Maryland, Baltimore County to play soccer. Donahue, we know about cross-country and track, the runner of the year. So it's a tribute to them that they have, and this has happened many times, Jack, with the Haddonfield athletes. They play multiple sports and still keep this basketball program at a high level.
2 for George at the line. She leads all Haddonfield scorers tonight with 18. Brewster chips in the layup. 61-45 Sterling. Rusi for three. That doesn't go. Rebound tipped around. George fights for it on the floor with Savage. The ball rolls around. They tip it around. Last touch by Haddonfield. Grab in the backcourt by Rusi, and that'll do it for her for the night as she fouls out of the contest. And Kopsky will be going back to the line. How about the effort by Kopsky, Mark? She takes 7.5 minutes to score in the ball game, and yet she's going to the line now with 28 points to her credit.
You know what else about her? She scores a lot, but she's not a ball hog. She does it within the confines of the offense. And a real team player, but she also knows that for this team to be successful, she's going to have to be in that 25-point range. It's a lot of responsibility, but obviously she looks like she can handle it.
Two more at the line, a 30-point night for Jessica Kopsky. Toddy with a hard move to the hole, and she scores. And that's going to do it. The Sterling Silver Knights come from way back in this one. They were down by 15 after one, but win it by a final of 63-45, and certainly solidify their position as the #1 team in South Jersey. We'll be back to wrap it up from Haddonfield in just a moment. The Sterling Silver Knights down by 15 at one point, win it by 16, and they win it just like they usually do behind the great play of Jessica Kopsky. Here's just 2 of her 30 points tonight as Sterling wins it by a final of 63-47. Down on the court is the star of this game, Jessica Kopsky, with my partner Mark Narducci. Mark?
All right, Jack, thank you very much. Here with Jessica Kopsky. You might see she has the ice pack on her shoulder. First of all, how does it feel? It didn't look like it was hurting you too bad in the game.
In the game, it really doesn't bother me. I don't let it affect me at all. I mean, that's just something that's there. And after the game, just put on ice on it, and hopefully it's going to go away. So.
Hey, speaking about not bothering you, you get down by 15 to Haddonfield in this gym. The gym's rocking. What's going through your mind at that point?
Coach said we had to weather the storm, and that was a big storm, I guess. I mean, we just knew we had to come out and work harder and harder, and I think we did that. So.
Jessica, the other thing is, what was it like playing in a game like this with a packed crowd, everybody going wild like this? What was it like being part of this atmosphere?
The crowd's big, so is ours. I mean, they come right back. It's great how they come out. Not a lot of kids get to experience this in their high school career. I like it a lot. It's just like fun, I guess.
Hey, it looked like when they were beating you when you're in the man-to-man, then you change a little bit to that matchup, the box and one. That looked like to be the real key to the game.
Well, 1-3, I mean, we come out and we've been working on that, and we knew we had to get back on defense, and that helped us a lot to get back.
Hey, you talk about defense. How about your teammate Lauren Armbruster, the job she did tonight on Erin Donahue?
Yeah, she's like the unsung hero. She comes out and she doesn't get on the stats, but her defense is phenomenal. Without her, I don't think we'd be as good as we are.
Jessica, you're so used to so many junk defenses, getting doubled, getting tripled. How do you have that quick release? How did you work at getting that shot off so quickly?
That's just what's coming with playing with my brother. Jackie Donovan, who's coaching this year, has been working with me because she went through that for 4 years, and she knows how that is. And she just helps me work on that, and I guess that's just how I get through it.
Well, congratulations, a great job. Sterling over Haddonfield tonight, Jack. They meet in 3 weeks, and we think they're going to be meeting sometime in March as well.
Well, it certainly looks that way right now, because despite what happened to Haddonfield here tonight, the Bulldogs are going to have a lot to say about what happens in this race, not only within the division, but also, as Mark mentioned, into the postseason play. Bill Ulrich's team has the better of it again tonight, though. His team moves to 7-0. And I think solidifies very nicely their #1 ranking in South Jersey by a final of 63-47. Of course, we said